The George Floyd case brought an important issue to the public eye. In that case, the police could no longer sweep their brutality towards blacks under the rug, and the public couldn't turn a blind eye with the excuse that the police were only doing their jobs. Holding the Justice Department accountable for unjust actions towards blacks and demanding reform was long overdue. While America is now dealing with this issue in its quest to improve life for blacks, it must start to deal with the issue as a whole. Holding the police accountable is only half of the issue. The other half is dealing with those who commit crimes and make the hood so dangerous. Unfortunately, it is mostly blacks who commit crimes against other blacks. However, as the momentum to support and promote the fact that Black Lives Matter is currently so high, it should be easier to make the psychopaths or hood rats who terrorize other blacks realize that truth. I'm not trying to stop the spotlight on police brutality and think that as long as it is an issue, there should always be a spotlight on it. My concern is that the people who are victimized by hood rats won't be heard or will be ignored in an effort to keep solidarity. Addressing black on black crime shouldn't stop solidarity with fighting police brutality. It needs to be done simultaneously in order to make sure that crime doesn't get out of control in vulnerable neighborhoods and protect victims and potential victims from those who might take advantage of the reduced police activity in their areas. I briefly read Criminal Victimization 2019 by the DOJ to get an idea of what was happening nationally. It seems that crime has been going down in a lot of areas, especially in poor neighborhoods between 2018 and 2019. That is the good news. I want to talk about black on black crime. There are some people who say that black on black crime is an excuse by racists to make black people seem more violent towards each other. They say that whites commit crimes against other whites at the same rate that blacks do to each other. I'm not going to argue against or support that because that is a separate issue. I wanted to mention it because I think that it is important to note that. In this video, I will be talking about black on black crime, not to shame blacks, but because it is a real issue that needs to be addressed whether or not white people are doing it too. As a victim and witness of black on black crime, I think that preventing harm caused by black people to other black people is just as important as preventing harm to blacks by other ethnicities. Let's start with the facts. Table 15 shows that in 2019, out of about 2.7 million violent crimes committed by whites, about 1.7 million were towards other whites, and about 470,000 was towards blacks. Out of about 490,000 violent crimes committed by blacks, about 89,000 was towards whites, and about 340,000 was towards other blacks. Table 16 shows that the percentage of whites committing violence against other whites was around 61%, and crimes against blacks were about 16%. The percentage of blacks committing violence against other blacks was around 70%, and crimes against whites were about 18%. I did a quick online check for statistical significance, and it seems to be statistically significant that blacks commit crimes against other blacks at a higher rate compared to whites committing crimes against other whites. I could be wrong, but viewers can check and correct me if I'm wrong. Table 17 shows the ratio of percentages. The report states, quote, among Black victims, the percentage of violent incidents perceived to be committed by Black offenders, 70%, was about 5.8 times higher than the percentage of Black persons in the population, which was about 12%. Unquote, kinda. In other words, it appears that a Black person is 5.8 times more likely to experience a violent incident with another Black person than with other races. Now you can see why it is as important to address Black on Black crime as it is to address police brutality. I'm not making things up. I'm not making these things up. And I'm not exaggerating. You can check my numbers by going to the links in the description box of this YouTube video. With all that said, I think now that the officers have been held accountable for the Floyd murder and there is pressure for reformations, it would be a good idea to start addressing Black on Black crime at the same time. Why? A lot of the hood rats or other criminals who terrorize poor neighborhoods will think that they can get away with a lot more now. They have been known to play the race card against law enforcement even when they have been in the wrong and race had nothing to do with it. The Floyd murder was probably about race, and the police were wrong. I'm not talking about incidents where an innocent person was brutalized or abused by the police, or where police action against someone who may have committed a crime was excessive or led to unnecessary death. The truth of the matter, the whole picture, is that there are criminals in the hood and elsewhere. Unfortunately, some of them are Black. If this movement to protect Black lives could hold the Black people who commit crimes, especially crimes against other Blacks, accountable, then the hood and other places could be a lot safer with or without immediate police reform. Another thing is that it would stop racists and other people who want to blame the victim from using the statistics to say that Blacks are more violent against each other than whites or police are. The fact that they can do that will ultimately hurt the movement to show that Black lives matter. That is the second reason. The third reason is that there could eventually be a backlash against this movement. I'm basing this theory on the racists' relentless attempts to make things the way they were again. I think that the racists will covertly and sometimes openly stoke tension between the whites who support the movement and Blacks. Every little mistake by Blacks that can help their cause will be magnified. Since I have been observing hood rats for several years, I think that they are the ones who will eventually mess things up. I have observed that hood rats, like other psychopaths, get high off power. Right now, they perceive this movement as a way to gain and use power. They can get away with more crimes because of reduced police activity. They can play the race card more easily, and the environment is more accepting to all Blacks, including the bad ones. The fact is, there's good and bad people among every ethnicity. Like other psychopaths, hood rats like to do and say bad things and get away with it. They like to victimize other people, white or Black. It could be possible that a hood rat will eventually victimize a white person, or white people could be convinced that too many whites are becoming victimized by Black people, and this could lead to a backlash. Once that starts, racists will move in quick and hard to fan that fire. Once that fire starts burning, it will be very hard to convince the whites who supported the movement to keep supporting it. Addressing black on black crime will not only help protect blacks against attacks by other blacks, it will weed out and hold the blacks who are involved in it will weed out and hold the blacks who are involved in criminal activity accountable. In other words, black people need to police themselves. This will take a community effort, but it needs to be done. The fourth reason, but not the last reason, is that black victims and potential victims have less protection against the criminals among them. With reduced police activity and hesitancy on the part of the police to act due to fear of false accusations, the blacks who are prone to crime will become more bold, as I've said before. A black victim may also hesitate or feel pressured not to call the police on another black person or report a crime. This could make a poor, predominantly black community less safe and increase the problem of black on black crime. I have no hard facts or data to show that any of what I said will happen. I'm only speculating based on data and my observations. Hopefully I'm wrong. I am warning of what could happen if the issue of black on black crime isn't addressed now, especially during a time of decreased police activity in dangerous neighborhoods. The problem could increase in these areas that are vulnerable to psychopaths and start to spread to other areas. I talk about things that few people want to talk about, or some others talk about with a harmful agenda, but I am really trying to get serious issues addressed. I am pretty straightforward and have no hidden agenda. I know that psychopaths exist and they hide among normal people while doing a lot of harm and getting away with it. I would like to expose them so that the best society can exist without the significant negative impact of a psychopathic minority.